pressure was nothing new to Beach Boys creative director Brian Wilson. His creative creativity was nourished in the early 1960s by a friendly rivalry with the Beatles, which produced classic albums like Pet Sounds. By 1967, though, the competition had turned into a dangerous obsession. Wilson was determined to do better than the Fab Four, so he put all of his heart and mind into the huge project called Smile. He had no idea that his quest for musical perfection would lead to terrible results. Wilson worked hard on Smile for a whole year, putting in a lot of studio time and trying out new ideas. However, the stress and growing drug use started to break him down. The rest of the Beach Boys did not like it either, because they were wary of the album's unusual direction. Brian Wilson finally quit Smile because he thought the music was too weird. This devastating rejection, along with the countless hours of creative work that went into the project, caused Brian Wilson to have a mental breakdown and struggle for years. Forget about music history's nasty battles. Wilson and the Beatles were not competing with each other to be the best. Instead, they were having a creative talk across the ocean. In his autobiography, Wilson said, "People talk about a rivalry, but that is not the right word. They both liked each other's work and were always pushing the limits in answer to what the other did." Wilson was inspired to make the classic Pet Sounds by the Beatles' album Rubber Soul, which came out in 1965. This back and forth went on, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band made Wilson even more ambitious for the Smile project, which was eventually dropped. Wilson said he felt a little jealous at first, but in the end, he saw it as a great exchange of ideas. He made it clear, "It was not really a rivalry. I think it was just mutual inspiration." There was a sharing of ideas that went both ways. The Beach Boys' next big thing interested the Beatles just as much. In an interview with Ronnie Wood in 2010, Paul McCartney said that Wilson's skill as a songwriter had a big impact on him when the Beatles were exploring chords and harmonies. "It was kind of like a rivalry," McCartney said, referring to how he and John Lennon would always push each other to be more creative. Brian would hear a song and then play it, which is nice. This friendly fight helped make Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Band. Jeff Emmerich, the engineer for the Beatles, says that McCartney was greatly influenced by Pet Sounds. In his autobiography, Here, There, and Everywhere, Emmerich wrote about how McCartney often listened to the record during breaks and even asked for a really clean American sound for his song Penny Lane, which was made popular by the Beach Boys. Wilson's sound was heard on more than one song. The song Lovely Rita from the same record also had his mark on it. Wilson had worked his way back by the late 1990s. He beat his addiction, took care of his mental health, found love, and got away from his controlling ex-therapist. Now that I felt better about myself, it was time to go back to Smile. They got back together with Parks in the early 2000s, which gave them a chance to finish what they had started almost 40 years before. Smile came to life on stage for the first time at London's Royal Festival Hall in 2004. In 2005, Brian Wilson Presents Smile came out, and Smile went on tour. Wilson was amazed. "It made me remember a lot of things," he told Paste magazine. "It sounded the way I thought it would. It was even better than they thought it would be years ago, because they added new stuff. A lot of famous people, like Paul McCartney, came to see the show. It is sad that Brian Wilson has been seen in public less often lately because of dementia and other health problems. Still, Smile's influence lives on. Once put on hold, this big project found its voice in the end, showing Wilson's persistence and the power of a dream that was put off.